I'm already dancing.
Mm.
Uh-uh.
Hit the damn record and see
Hit
if
the
we can
damn
figure.
record. See we can record something. Hey, friend.
Hey, friend.
So, for everybody who's watching, we are two unlikely friends, and we talk about race, race relations, and
What it means to us. Listen, I was ill last week. I feel better. I feel like I'm still kind of crawling out of it. Like, you know that little meme with the bear that comes out of hibernation and he's like,
mhm,
that like chunks of hair falling off of him. That's kind of how I
but
felt last
much
week.
cuter.
It's how I felt last week. Anyway, I'm crawling out of it. I'm starting to feel better, but I think my immune system took a hit. So it's like, whoa, we need to like chill out right now. How are you doing?
Yeah. I'm doing just fine. I just got done teaching my first week of school.
How is
Um,
that?
it was a bit on the rough side. I have to be honest. Actually, what I can't say it was the first week. It was literally the second week. But the first week of school, no students come, so it was a little first week of full classes this week.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So I've been doing a lot of talking, and you probably hear from my voice is like I
Mm.
sound so baritone today. And yesterday was my birthday.
Happy
So,
birthday, happy
yeah. So,
birthday.
and Desma, she was so adorable. She came to the party
Oh,
yesterday,
sweet.
and she brought this really, really sweet, adorable cake. It was, and I can't explain it to everybody, but it was like one of those chocolate puff cream cakes or whatever it was. It had like profiteroles on top. It was actually very good, but unfortunately, my body. Everybody should remember the Snickers story, right?
Oh
My body
gosh,
doesn't
that's
process.
right.
Yeah, my body doesn't process sugar very well because I don't eat sugar very much or almost never. Rarely, let's put it that way,
But listen,
rarely.
if you're allowed to cheat, if you're allowed to have a little bit of fun, it's on your birthday.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It is on your birthday, but you still take a hit. We don't bounce back like we used to. Like when you caught the cold, you
Right.
don't bounce back like you used to, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
and that's what I'm dreading this year because I know I am one step closer to death. And if I
Come on.
it is true.
Give me a
If
break.
I catch a cold this year, I'm going to be like I'm dead, I'm dying because I realize, take, through the kickboxing,
Mm.
we have to throw jabs, and my elbow has been killing me
Oh
for god knows
no.
how long. Yeah, it's really, it's not, it doesn't hurt, but it's sensitive. Like if I lean on it, I'm like, ouch, oh geez, oh, it
Mm.
hurts really bad.
You got a
But if
hitch in
I'm
your giddy up. That's what we would say in
Yeah,
the South. You
I
got a
got a
hitch in
hitch
your
in my
giddy
giddy
up.
up. Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely.
Well, I hope you figure out your hitch.
Well, I just put some tiger balm on it.
Yeah, it's like your favorite thing since
Yeah,
kickboxing started.
let me tell you something. It's like I was like it's like overall body smear.
Nasty. Well, I hope you had a
uh,
good birthday though. I mean,
I
it was
did.
fun to be there. We had a good time, you know. It
So much
was
food. What is wrong with me?
listen, when you do it, you definitely do. I feel like I do the same thing whenever I have people over. I want to make sure that everybody is fed. So like for Thanksgiving and stuff, I always overdo it. Like whenever people come over for like I said, like for Thanksgiving, they'll say, "Okay, how many dishes are you going to make, Desma?" Two, and they'll show up, and I will have like six. And I'm like sweating, and I'm tired, and I'm like, I made deviled eggs this morning. Like
You
so
sound like
much
me
stuff.
because I immediately go into panic mode because my thing
Mm,
is like I don't want people coming to my house and be like, that boy ain't have no food to eat,
right,
or he didn't have
right.
enough to eat, and they go out onto these streets and talk about me. No, ma'am. You ain't gonna never say that David did not have enough food. No, ma'am. Mm-mm.
Oh
Not in this
gosh.
lifetime. Mm-mm.
So you had
You are
something that you
not.
wanted. Mm.
You know, I was just saying, you're not embarrassing me in these streets. Nuh-uh.
So you had something that you wanted to talk about today. Um,
Bananas in my cereal.
oh gosh, that's one thing. Okay, all right. So you had two things that you wanted to talk about today. I was
No.
having a listen. I was having a snack as a banana because I was like hungry and I needed to have something. And he was like, "You're eating a nasty banana," and I was like, "What's
Yeah,
wrong
I
with bananas?"
hate bananas. Ew.
So
Um,
why?
why? Well, you knew that I didn't like bananas before
Yes.
because it was also on my birthday. They bought me a cake and it had bananas and it was like a
It
chocolate banana
like
cake,
a full banana cake, and
like
we had
full
no
banana
idea
cake.
that you
And they
hated
didn't know,
bananas.
right? They didn't know that I didn't like bananas. And
It
I was
was
like,
so sad.
thanks, but I hate bananas. So the reason why I hate bananas, my mother was not into spending money that she didn't have to. And I think most families are like that.
Yeah,
But
for
you know,
sure,
when
for
I
sure.
grew up in a mostly white neighborhood,
Mm.
or I went to a mostly white high school, let's put it that way. And, kids always talk about, oh, we had Cocoa Puffs and, all these sugary cereals and Captain Crunch and blah. My mother wouldn't buy that stuff for us. She would only buy us
Wow,
like,
she was smart.
Cheerios, cornflakes, shredded wheat. And we are like, nothing sugary, really, because that sugar cereal was expensive, right?
Well, it's
Fruity
expensive and
Pebbles
it's
and all
not
that
good
good
for
stuff,
you
tricks,
either.
and it's not good for you, right? So what my mother did, she's like, okay, you want something sweet? She would like chop up a banana and put it in our cereal, and then put like a ton of sugar on it,
Oh
and
my
she would,
gosh.
yeah, then she would make us eat it, and my brothers loved it. I hated it. I was like,
Mm,
ew. I couldn't
nasty.
stand it, but I ate it because, when you're a kid and you're hungry in the morning, you got to eat something. So I
Right.
would eat around the bananas, and then I didn't end up finishing everything because then the milk started to taste like soggy bananas. Ugh, ugh, ugh.
Um, yeah, we had those kinds of sugary cereals, but often the cereals that we had were we were on a program called WIC in my family, Women, Infants, Children, I think is what it stands for. And it was basically a federally funded or state funded program that helped out, like assisted families in feeding their children. And so we had certain things in the house always. We always had milk. We always had, you know,
The
the things
staples.
that, yeah, like the staples, right? And so we often couldn't afford those fancy things, or yeah, I think my parents had them as treats and stuff like that. So we would get them sometimes like the cookie crisp and the golden nuggets or whatever that I can't remember what they are. But we would have them. But I definitely remember putting sugar in my Rice Krispies and sugar in my cornflakes. The second thing you wanted to talk about was you mentioned Hollywood.
I did mention Hollywood, but this is Black Hollywood.
Okay, please go on.
So, Black Hollywood came about shortly after the Supreme Court sanctioned racism in the separate but equal ruling. And in 1905, most African Americans, they were playing Hollywood films like, most actually African American depicted characters were being played by white people in blackface. And then they started saying,
Yes.
right.
Judy
So
Garland
it,
did it. I remember that.
yeah. So it was, and then they were like, separate but equal, get black people in there. So they would then also start to have black actors, but also in blackface.
Hmm.
So a lot of the actors,
Wait. They were in blackface?
yeah, black actors in blackface
Why?
because they didn't want to see a black person's face.
So they would rather
See
it
a
look
black
like
man through
a
black paint.
clown.
Yeah, like a clown.
So
It's just it
strange.
was just more it was degradation on top of degradation.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So, and they only wanted to see black actors play like, like the goofball or the idiot or the slave or
Hmm.
the not so intelligent or the not so well spoken. Those are the characters, or the mammy type. Those are the
Right.
roles that they wanted them to see, which what they called like the African minstrel characters, and it was very very lucrative for a lot of black actors at that time. They were able to make money, like this one actor. He played Stephen Fletcher,
Hmm.
who was very very popular at that time. But the Black Hollywood was a direct response to the movie called The Birth of a Nation. Now, I don't
Hmm.
know if you know what that is.
No, I've never seen it.
Okay. Birth of a Nation was filmed in 1915, and the original name
Pause for a
for
second. Is that was that like before, was that a talkie one, or was it like black and
no,
white?
this was
We have no
silent. This is
sound.
silent
Okay.
black and white.
It's silent. Okay.
Silent black and white. And
Because they
the
called
name
them
of the
talkies, right? Like they changed when they had
afterwards,
like
yeah.
sound. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
they called them
Okay.
talkies, yeah.
Okay.
This was the film that had the original name of
I'm scared.
The Klansman.
What?
That was the original name of it. The Klansman.
So, in what room did somebody stand up and say, "You know what? Maybe this name is not such a good idea."
I don't
Dumb.
know. I don't know who changed the name of it, but it really, at that time, didn't make a difference.
Right.
Whether they called it the Klansman or the Birth of a Nation or white people will kill everybody, they didn't care. I think they called it Birth of a Nation because they wanted to make it more palpable to
Mm,
uh, white people generally, because not all white people were, with the Klans thing.
right.
So,
Is
in
that what
this
the movie's
film,
about?
the movie is about. The movie is about. It was just after well, it's part fiction, part history. The
Okay.
Chronicles of Assassination of Abraham Lincoln, by John Wilkes Booth,
Yeah.
and it was supposed to be about two families after the Civil War and the Reconstruction era
Okay.
in America at that time. But what it then morphed into was the demonizing of black people, mostly black men, and making America a white Christian, a white Christian central country. And in
Hmm.
order to do that, they had to eradicate, the evil black man who's coming to take our lands, take our jobs, rape our women.
Right.
There's actually one famous scene in the film where a white woman is running from a African American man who was a white man in blackface chasing this woman across hill and dale, and so that she doesn't get caught and raped this black man, she throws herself off of a cliff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That that's a lot. That's a
Mhm.
lot. So
Yeah.
so it starts off with the story about Abraham Lincoln,
Mhm.
John Wilkes Booth,
Mhm.
and then goes into these stories
Well, it
about
was supposed to be about the Civil War and the Reconstruction area.
right, right. Like
Or
and
era,
how
not area,
yeah,
sorry.
how it like how everything was changing and how now we have to be kind to everyone,
Well,
right?
it really didn't work, did it? Well,
No,
anyway,
well, I mean, yeah, nothing worked about that. I mean, I
yeah,
guess there were good things about it. Certainly, I mean, we don't have slavery anymore. That's a great thing, but there were so many complications after that. Anyway, please
yeah.
continue. the Reconstruction era of like we're gonna like everybody is gonna live together and we're all gonna be okay, right?
Yeah, basically kumbaya.
And
So
everything is totally fine now, right?
everything is fine now.
Everything is so good.
Well,
Anyway,
everything is
listen,
so good.
but listen,
Um,
at least it was a step. It was a huge step. That was a
it
huge
was a
step.
step in the right direction. It was a step in the
But
right direction, but unfortunately, it was only a step in the right direction for white people. Definitely
and
not for black people.
And I think that like the steps actually, it was like, like how you construct steps going down. There was like one
Yeah,
step and then there was none.
yeah. Well, it was
There was no
for
step.
well. Speaking of steps, it was one step forward, especially what I'm talking about for Black Hollywood. It was a one step forward for white
Mm,
people, but two steps back for Black people.
mm,
So after this film was made, it was supposed to be about the retelling of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, war, Reconstruction era, blah blah
right.
blah. They started putting black people or black depiction in films in a more positive or comedic light and not demonized as killers and blah blah because so black people were like, we had enough of this. The
Mm,
ruling came out from the Supreme Court. They were like, separate but equal, portray them correctly or portray them in a not so harsh light, whatever the case may be. So then Black Hollywood came around, and Black Hollywood was
mm,
about, um, okay, if you want to see us in these mammy roles, fine, but make her a black woman with a little bit of dignity, not in blackface. She can be the
mm.
maid if you want
Oh
her to be
yeah,
the
because
maid, but
they were doing blackface.
you would get a lot of films where you started to see black people being portrayed in a much more positive light. Now, the very, very first person to not the very very first person but one of the first people to um, change this was Sidney Poitier, and was Harry
Yeah.
Belafonte. But then you also had a lot of black actors and black actresses who were what you call quadroon. They were black but they passed for white, and a lot of people didn't know they were black until much much later in life. Rumor that uh, oh, what's his name? Frankly, my dear Scarlett, I don't give a damn. What's his name? Gone with
Clark
the Wind?
Gable.
Clark Gable. There's a rumor that
Yeah.
Clark Gable's supposed to be half black, but I don't think it's true. But he supported Hattie McDaniel when she won that Oscar. Now,
Oh yeah.
shocking part is that when the ceremony was being held, she was not allowed to sit in the same room as everybody else. She had to sit in a side room in
Right.
her gown,
Right.
and she accepted the award. She thanked everybody, and then she had to go back to this room. She could not sit at the table with the rest of the cast
So
members.
weird. All right.
Separate but equal.
Hmm.
So
So,
Black Hollywood came about because they just wanted to get rid of all of these atrocities that
hmm
Black people were experiencing as artists, if you will.
hmm
Um, that spun off to lots and lots of um, Black exploitation films that happened in the 60s. Um,
mm,
we had a conversation one time who we had a crush on. Uh, like I asked you who your female crush was, and then you asked me
hmm
who my male crush was. My male crush
hmm
for a long time was Mario Van Peebles. I don't know if you remember looking up his name, but
yes.
his father was also an actor and a producer, and he would do all of these black exploitation films like Shaft, um,
Oh, right.
Superfly. Yeah, all of these
Uh-huh.
black exploitation films, but they were black written, they were black produced, they were black
They
actors.
were?
Very rarely, yeah, very rarely did you
God, I
see
didn't know
any.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And this was in the '60s. Very rarely did you see any white actors in these films. And if you did see a white actor, it was usually or always normally a police officer.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Hmm.
Funny. All right. So, wow. I didn't know that those films were
Black
I
Hollywood.
didn't
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
it's like
Wow.
Bollywood but black.
It's funny. So, this film that you were talking about, The Klansman slash
Hmm.
not called The Klansman, um,
Birth of a Nation.
right. Did were there any African American, any black people in the film itself, or was it
No,
just it was
no, it was
all
all blackface.
yeah.
Every
Well, I mean,
person
you
that they
mentioned that, but
depicted.
I didn't know if that was
Yeah,
like
yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah.
everybody.
No, every black
Oh,
person that was depicted in the film, or let's say every black person that was demonized in the film,
right.
was blackface. And it was
Well,
a
I'm gonna
caricature of black people, so they
right.
had to do it like that. They had to get their message across that black people are dangerous.
Well, I need to see it because I've not seen it. I don't want to, but I feel like it might be important.
No, you have to.
You
You
know,
have
I
to.
think that's an
You are doing a
important thing to
public
see.
service when you do that.
Right. I'm sorry.
So I'm parched.
I had it. I watched that film on Netflix called Breaking. Do you know about that film?
No.
I didn't know either, and it stars John Boyega. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He was in the Star Wars movies. He's a great actor.
Oh, I
Um,
see. I think I know that actor. Yeah, I didn't see any of the Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars
yeah,
fan, but I know
he's
people
really
gonna
good
come
in
for
it.
me
But
now.
he's done, of course, he's done other things. But I mean, I know him from that because I love Star Wars. John Boyega plays this Marine, and this is all based on a true story, which I
Hmm.
didn't know. But he plays this Marine, former Marine who served the country in Kuwait and I think Iraq. I think those two places. Um, and he was down on his luck and he needed some money from the VA, but through some really bad paperwork, they couldn't give him the money that he needed, um, that he deserved, that is supposed to be issued to him, I guess. And he decided to rob a bank. And through the process of robbing this bank in the film, we hear more about his story and why he's doing this. And he just wants the attention of the VA so that he can get money.
Yeah,
And it is heartbreaking, devastating, but a really, really, really important film to watch for
it's a true
many
story.
reasons. It's a true story. And
How come I
number
never heard
one,
of this before?
listen, I just stumbled on it last night and it's really good. It's important to watch. But I mean, I think it's important because of, you know, our veterans. We have to respect what they've done and we have to be as kind and gentle with them, especially after coming back from combat, a combat situation.
Yeah,
Um, that deserves a whole conversation in itself. Um, but we need to be kind to these people that have served our country and have done their best. But also, there's the whole other aspect of the story, which is the fact that he is an African American guy that's holding up a bank. And
yeah.
um, you put away all of that other information, the fact that he's a former Marine and that he served the country and that he might have some mental issues that are combined with those two things, you know, like he's
Well,
he's been dealt a hard hand, you know, like
I
after
mean, the
coming back from
sympathy
those things.
angle, I can understand the sympathy angle, but Usually that sympathy angle doesn't work for black people. Usually it doesn't work.
Listen
What I
and
just
listen,
find,
yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, and the story is told in a sensitive way, but I think I think everybody knows how that story will go. And that is the
Yeah,
saddest part about it.
yeah.
Everybody knows how that story would end. And that's what's so devastating about it. And I'm there with my
And
Turkish friend, and she was like, "Does this actually happen?" And I said, "Absolutely, it happens. It happens
yeah,
every single day." Like, not being held up at a bank, but the injustice of
the injustice. Yeah,
what your skin looks like and how you're treated absolutely
yeah.
happens every day. Like,
More heartbreaking, especially for black and brown servicemen, because we're told in the United States as black and brown people, even though we complain about injustice, even though, oh, why do you always have to complain, why do you always have to bring up the past, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, blah blah blah, yada yada yada, and then when we do it, it's not good enough. But when we, serve our country to show our patriotism and that we want to live in this country, we enjoy this country, it's never recognized. There was, I think it was during the Trump administration, there was a Marine who had just come back from not from the United States, he had just come back from Afghanistan, and he was at a gas station and he was filling up gas, and the police officers pulled him over for some reason. And he was in his uniform, he had just come back, he was just deployed, and he had just come back from a stateside army, one of the army bases, and he was on his way home. Police officer stopped him, treated him like trash. And I'm telling you, a dime to a donut. If that was a white soldier, they would have not have done that. But because he was a
mm,
black soldier, they did exactly that. He knew he could get away with it. Yeah.
I'd like to know what do you think would help the situation? Like, how do you feel like we can fix this?
We can't. We
You
can't.
don't think that there's any way that we can? I mean, I know it's the same, it's very similar to all of the school shootings, and um, it's similar in the way that it just keeps happening and nobody's doing anything about it. Like, it
There's
just
no
keeps
cure for
happening.
it.
And we keep saying, oh, we're sending prayers and, we're so sorry. And I mean, come on, come on. There's only so many thoughts and prayers that we can send. And
Yeah,
it
you're
just,
right.
there's nothing that's to be done about it. Like,
Well,
nobody's
to
doing
answer your
anything about it.
question,
But with this, it's also similar. Like, it just keeps happening and it keeps happening. And how do we stop it?
we don't. This is know this until like maybe I want to say about 6 or 7 years ago. During the Reconstruction era,
Hmm.
there was no such thing as the police until
Mm,
afterwards. After the abolition of slavery, uh, there were no rules, no laws to keep
mm,
black people in line. They were just as free as the next white person. But, of course, white people did not enjoy this. So we just can't have all these black people running around, trying to be uppity and
right.
act like white folks.
Right.
So they invented a force that would give white men the power to police black bodies. And that's where the police came around. And they would arrest black people on the smallest of infractions and whims to put them back in jail to make
Mm,
them slaves again. That's where chain gangs come from. They would
Right.
literally have them working on the railroads for free. Have them working on farms for free because they're paying their dues for whatever small crime that they have committed. Jaywalking, throw them in jail. Talking too loud, throw them in jail. Looking at a white woman, throw them in jail. Walking on the wrong side of the street, throw them in jail. They threw black people in jail for the smallest of
Wow.
infractions. So,
I mean, I'm
and this
not
is
surprised at that,
so
but
this idea of and of white people, you see it now with these Karens always trying to police black people, like, you know, do you live
listen,
here? Yeah.
my aunt's name is Karen. And she's not a Karen. So let's I'm so sorry to all those Karens that are lovely. She is not
Yes,
a
my
Karen,
cousin is
but
Karen,
we
and she's
know.
like, and she even says, she says, why do you gotta call us Karen? Why do you gotta call them Karen? So I was like, I don't know, sorry,
I know, I
I don't know
know.
what
All
else
right,
to call
so
them.
I know, yeah, 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 I get it. But trying to
And
police.
these people trying to police black bodies, and you hear people do, are you supposed to be here, you're not supposed to be here, and do you live in this building, blah blah blah, and show me your papers. It's like, I'm not showing you my walking papers. I'm not
Mm,
showing you any ID. I don't have to prove to you that I belong in this area. And if you're in the wrong area and you can't prove that you belong there, they'll shoot you.
mm,
They'll
yeah,
shoot you. There was one guy, it was like 3 or 4 years ago, a black UPS driver. He was a UPS driver. And because he was in a area delivering a pack, he was doing his job, delivering a
right.
package to someone. And two white guys out of nowhere saw a black man, never mind UPS uniform, never mind. They
Never
shot
mind
at
that
him.
there was a whole truck.
Yeah, they shot at him. They shot at him until he drove away.
So you really don't think that there is any way that we
No,
can.
no, because white people believe they have the authority to police black bodies. They think it's their God given right, and they won't give that up. They won't give that up for nothing. No.
You don't think
And they believe it's
conversations
their
and
God given right to own guns. They will not give that up for nothing. I don't care how many laws you pass, I don't care how many legislations you implement, they
yeah,
won't.
I'm not disagreeing at all
Not
because
you,
I think
sweetie. I'm talking
no,
to
no,
the
no, no, no,
audience.
no. But I'm just saying, no, no. But I'm saying, for myself, definitely, I totally agree with that because I think that there is a huge lack of education, and with that education, empathy and sympathy and understanding of others. And that's why I think generally I try to be hopeful about lots of different things in my life, but like with that, like I'd like to think that if we just keep having conversations and if we keep talking to each other and hopefully trying to understand another person's side or another person's like life, maybe that will direct to change. But I also have to be realistic and say that you're absolutely right. I think that there are a lot of people that are gun owners or that aren't gun owners that have this feeling of I still my rights are way more important than yours. My
Yes,
rights are way more important than yours because your skin is darker than mine.
right.
And maybe
Freedom
they
from
don't
me
want
for,
to say that,
well, they
but
are saying it in a roundabout way. So
some of
freedom for
them
me,
do.
but not for thee.
Yeah.
To end our podcast on a
Ah,
positive note, I want to show everybody who is on YouTube. Unfortunately, people who are on our linear platform won't be able to see this, but it was my birthday, and of course, my neighbor, she's
yay.
like, I think she's like 15 or 16 years old. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't earn any money, and she wanted to show her appreciation to me for my birthday
Aw.
by giving me this picture.
It is really sweet. There's all kinds of people. Is this the family?
This is the family. Now, this is the
Oh
father.
my
This is her.
gosh.
This is
And
supposed to
these
be me.
gosh, look at that. Very cute.
Yes.
Very cute.
That's her sister Ilkin, and that's the mother. And she
Oh my
wrote at the bottom,
gosh.
she says, unfortunately, she says, I made them small.
She
But
made
at
them
the
small.
top, at the very, very top, she wrote, hold on, I have to turn it around. She wrote, I'm glad you have many healthy years. I'm glad you're with us. We love you very much. Isn't that sweet? The
No,
Fishkin
very
family loves you
sweet.
very much. Yes. And on the back,
Hmm.
she wrote, Happy birthday, David Abby. David Abby means big brother. She
Right.
says, We love you very much. And she drew me as a superhero
Because you're doing kickboxing
because I'm
and
doing
she thinks that
kickboxing. So she
you're
drew me full o' muscles.
it's really, really cute. You're an X-Man now.
I'm an
I don't
X-Man
know
now. There
I
it
don't know
is.
if you realize that, but that's your new profession.
Yes.
You are an
He said,
X-Men.
Excuse me, sir. Can you write down your occupation? X-Man.
That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know. I am.
So, thank you everybody for listening today. Thank you for joining my conversation, friend. Like I'm talking to myself. Thank you for having a conversation with me.
It's like, thank you for having a conversation. Oh, yeah, my friend.
I just was having a conversation by myself. Typical.
Yes, that's okay. And
Anyway,
we would like to thank all of our listeners on a linear platform for taking part in our podcast. And we would also like to thank our YouTube watchers for taking the time and watching our podcast.
yeah.
Also, for our YouTube watchers, we would really appreciate it if you would like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And also hit the notification bell so that you know when we
Ding,
post up a
ding.
new video. So, yeah, ding,
Yeah.
ding, baby. Ding, ding.
Yeah. Thanks for all of the lovely comments. We welcome lovely comments. And if they're not lovely, that's okay. You can just move on. We still love you.
Yeah,
It's okay.
absolutely. And I tell people, it's like, please keep it civil. Please allowed to have our own opinions. But the first instant that it gets nasty and degrading and things
You're
like that,
brutal.
I will delete that comment and I will block
Right.
you because I will show you my superpower because my delete finger
Hey,
is
there you go.
I will delete you. Okay, friend.
Okay, friend. Hope you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
Peace.